Good morning and welcome to Wednesday, February the 24th edition of Cup of Faith. I'm John Moen, if we've never met, and I welcome you today. I welcome you to our home. I welcome you to my thoughts, and I trust that today we have something that's going to be maybe helpful and encouraging. I want to take a moment about famous people that have tried and failed many times, because they're a huge encouragement to me. Because as I start to get a little older in years, I haven't quite decided yet what I want to be when I grow up. I think of people that tried, and at some point they got it right. And here's an example: Colonel Sanders, the inventor of and the face of Kentucky Fried Chicken. So it is said that he slept in his car and he was told no for 1,009 times as he tried to sell his secret chicken recipe. He would drive around the United States, he would knock on doors, he would sleep in his car, and he was always wearing his white suit. But finally, it worked. Somebody bought it. And he started that at 65, and at the age of 90 in 1964, he finally sold it for about $2 million, which is $6.9 million worth today. Not a bad return for tenacity. I love people who try and fail and try and fail and try and fail. I just love the tenacity. I love to see people who are obviously out of shape and obviously have a few extra pounds, that they're jogging and they're working out. They're moving forward. I don't know if this applies to you or if you know somebody, but it is reported that from the drug and alcohol rehab in Orange County, that relapses for addictions in the first year after stopping are 40 to 60%. They're high. We saw in the inner city of Winnipeg people who would be addicted, and then they go into a treatment center and they come out and they do well for a while, and then they fall, but they go back in again. They kept trying. I admired that tenacity. And I don't know if this applies to you or not as well, or you know somebody, but smoking. It is from drugfree.org. It is said that smokers may try quitting an average of 30 times before they succeed. That's a lot of tenacity. That's people who they tried, they failed, and they know they might fail again, but they're still going to try. I love those kinds of people. So for a few more moments, I want to talk to you about the gift of tenacity, which is, I find a two-sided story in Mark chapter 5. And the first part revolves around a woman who the scriptures say had a continuous flow of blood. She was continuously sick. She was chronically sick. And to be chronically sick affects us on so many levels. It affects us emotionally. It affects us socially. We don't want to go out. We don't want to talk to anybody. Sometimes we don't even want to get out of bed. And the scriptures say that she had suffered a great deal under the care of many doctors. She kept trying to find a resolution to this. And she tried to the point that she spent everything that she had. But she kept on trying. Now, unfortunately, instead of getting better, she was getting worse. But then she heard about Jesus, the scriptures say. And she came up behind him, and if you know the story well, you know that she reached out and touched his cloak, his garment. She thought, if I could just touch it, if I just touch his clothing, I'll be healed. And immediately, it stopped. Now, I just want to focus on that word for a second, immediately. It's a suddenly word. Her healing did not come quickly. It came at great expense. And over a long period of time, she had attempted, she had hoped, she had prayed for healing. But then it happened immediately. There are these suddenlies of God that we pray for things, we work on things, we try to achieve, we try to see resolution, and it takes like it forever and ever and ever for it to happen. And then suddenly it's resolved. I love the suddenlies of God. We're going to see that again in a second. And then, if you know the story, then the dialogue. Jesus knows he's been touched and he asks about it. And the woman is very afraid, but she admits that she has. And Jesus says, your faith has healed you. That's a great way to spell faith, is tenacity. That we will keep trying because we believe that something can be better. We hope for a different outcome. So here is the second story of tenacity, the tenacious Jesus. And while he was speaking, because he was already on a mission and this woman's healing interrupted him, and then he's given a report that the daughter is dead, that he has gone to heal. And people say what people do. Why even bother? Why even try anymore? Often our peers, while they're our best friends, they can also be our worst enemies. We're told that in the inner city that people trying to escape poverty and homelessness was like a crab in the bucket. If you put one crab in a bucket, it can get out, but if you put two in, they'll keep pulling each other back in. We often found that. People will say, why bother, why hope? Don't be foolish. And Jesus overhears this and he said, don't be afraid, just believe. You see, part of Jesus being tenacious for us and helping us to be tenacious is that he speaks these words of hope. It's not when we're at the bottom of the well, that when we're at our bottom, that we think, okay, now I will change. It's when we have hope and Jesus speaks words of hope to them. And he proceeds and he comes to the place, to the home of the synagogue leader, and he asks a question, what is all the commotion? People are wailing and they're crying, and often it was not even sincere. He says, because the child is not dead, but the child is asleep. So the second thing about Jesus' tenacity is that he sees things differently than our peers do. But they laughed at him. And he goes and he takes this young girl by the hand. Girl that was technically dead from every standpoint, which he violated ceremonial law that you don't touch the dead. But that's a third thing. Jesus goes where others won't go, because that's just the way he is. And he says, little girl, get up. And immediately she stands up. See, there's that word immediately again. The suddenly. From our standpoint, it looked like he had come too late. It was past the opportunity. We see that in our situations. It's past the opportunity. And then there's a suddenly. There's an immediately that God does something for us. Let me leave you with one verse from Luke chapter 18, verse 1. I won't tell you the parable, but I'll tell you how the parable starts out. Then Jesus told his disciples to show them that they should always pray and never give up. Why? Because it's faith. So today, cheers. Enjoy your cup of faith.